Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And we are excited to have back our friend here who is local to me, at least. He's in Connecticut through the tri-state area. And Thomas Bergvik joining us here, nationally certified counselor and licensed professional counselor, joining us today. Welcome back. How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
Great. BergvikCounselingServices.com is the website. And we're just going to open the phone lines if anyone has any ideas for him today, because he's at a loss. He's like, I'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. So I love it. 631-317-1291, 631-317-1291. Please introduce yourself to the show today.
Hi, I'm Thomas Bergvik. I'm a licensed professional counselor practicing in Hamden, Connecticut. I am also, as you said, nationally certified counselor. I've been in business for, it'll be 11 years this year in September. I specialize in working with couples. I work regarding depression as well, anxiety, substance abuse issues, career issues. And actually, I got a call today that I usually don't work with that often, but a client who has a son who's autistic. And I have had experience working with autistic clients in the past. And I went through a whole list of questions with her because I was kind of concerned about her, but her son's history of acting out physically. But anyway, there's a lot of areas I've had working experience, so I'm interested to see what people want to talk about out there.
Perfect. 631-317-1291. We've had some great conversations in the past about so much, and you bring up autism. It just, it is Autism Awareness Month, and it's interesting.
Well, it's timely.
Right, it really is. My kids are 5 and 7. They came home the other day with the little puzzle pieces that they drew in school, and I'm like, "Oh, you're learning about autism." I have a nephew who's autism, so that is a good topic. Do you work with children and adults as well with autism? Is that something you're?
Well, no. Let me tell you, this is basic. I mean, I have worked with clients who have Asperger's, which is old under the old DSM. But I've had experience working with developmentally disabled clients who have had behavioral issues. And I also have a grandson who has been officially diagnosed with smooth brain syndrome, but has some autistic aspects to him. He also has behavioral issues. And I think what's going to end up happening with my grandson, because he's gotten to be a really big, husky kid, that he's going to end up going into a residential setting because my daughter is no longer able to be able to handle him in a way that would be appropriate, and she can't control him anymore.
Wow.
And in fact, he's in the hospital for special care, and I'm hoping that we can get him into a residential setting at some point, but it's been a challenge to say the least. So yeah, I say to have it up close and personal, without a doubt.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. I know it's not easy. Like I said, I have a nephew who has autism, and but is anything really easy? I just feel that we're so blessed to have, everyone, our family, our children, our life, and it's just part of the solution. You never know the cards you're dealt with in life, right? People say that. And one thing that I think we do is look to the other side, unfortunately, saying, oh, the grass is greener, or this person's life's better, this person's life is. And you work with individuals on a daily basis that, we all have something. There's no perfect life out there, no perfect anyone. Can you make us all feel better about that, Mr. Bergvik? Seriously?
No, without a doubt. And you talk about the grass is always greener. When I work with couples in particular, and they start thinking about, well, maybe it's better if I have an affair and this person seems to be perfect. Well, when you get up close, I don't care whose lawn you're talking about, you're going to find weeds. Mm-hmm. Every lawn has weeds in it. And it may look good from a distance, but the closer you get, the more you realize there's no such thing as a perfect lawn. And it's the same thing in people. We're all we all have weaknesses.
Yeah.
And none of us are perfect. Humans aren't perfect. We make mistakes. This is something I talk about all the time. People don't come into my office when things are perfect, when things are going like clockwork. They come in because there's been some kind of a crisis in their lives. And my job is to help them get a more objective viewpoint of what's going on and why it's going on, and to help them cope better with what the issues are, and hopefully be able to help them move on in a way that they're feeling much more comfortable and more able to deal with whatever the issues they're dealing with.
Yeah. Well, spring is here. And I'm assuming, this is the time I'd like to say that it's happy time, right? Spring is in the air, but not everybody gets that sense of happiness around when the weather gets nicer in our area, right? Depression, you deal with people with depression, with relationships. I know is big for you. We talked a lot about relationships and communication and all. So I'm thinking if no one's calling in, 631-317-1291, he needs a topic for today. Help us out, please.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about trauma. I mean, my father is, I don't know if I've talked much about about what I was like growing up for me, but my father was a veteran of World War II. And he went through trauma. I didn't know this until after he passed away. During the World War II era, not too many people talked about their experiences during World War II, and my father was no exception to that. But
Stand by. We have a caller. Hold on. Hi, welcome to the show. You are live on the line with Thomas Bergvik. Who's calling?
Hi, my name is Danielle.
Hi, Danielle. Yeah, so we're here talking, as you may have heard, looking for a topic today. Thomas, as a professional counselor, can help so many people, children, adults. So did you have something in mind for him?
Well, yeah. So I am in recovery. I've been in and out for almost 20 years, just back and forth, rehab. And I have a friend that's really, really struggling, and I don't know how to help them, to understand that there's help other than just a rehab. Everyone thinks that they have to leave and just go to rehab.
Yeah. Are they using heavily right now?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Yeah, they need to go through detox to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's options after that.
Well, that's what I mean. They think that after detox, they're willing to detox, but they don't want to go into rehab. They think it's all a government scam. So I'm trying to think of help in other ways.
No, I hear that. The reason I'm saying there's options because, yeah, there are some, obviously there's inpatient options, but I also am associated with a program called Aware. I believe they're in more than just one state. They may have offices all over the country. And there might be other programs similar to theirs where they're community-based, meaning that they're willing to work with people who have substance abuse issues, who live at home. And so they can use meetings either at home or at a mutually agreeable place that they are willing to talk with them about their substance abuse trials and tribulations. And so that's that inpatient type of setting. I mean, it really comes down to how severe the individual situation is in terms of their long-term usage. In some cases, it's difficult, if not impossible, to not get the inpatient treatment, because going through detox is only going to fix the immediate issue. You're dealing with you're dealing with the cravings that most people who have substance abuse issues have to deal with. Addiction is about routine. It's something that you do on a regular basis, and learning how to change your habits in regards to your using, avoiding the triggers that just simply traveling in the community. So all you got to do is the substance alcohol or drugs or what?
Right now he is he's into so crack cocaine, methamphetamine.
Okay. Yeah, so he needs to, learning how to stay away from the neighborhoods that would trigger him to want to start looking for getting fixed with crack cocaine.
Yeah.
It's really, I mean, you hear what I'm saying? It's like, it's a multifaceted problem that he's dealing with, and going through detox.
Yeah, and that's what I meant. Like, instead of just saying go to rehab, do the 12-step program, like, there is other solutions, and it's just hard to present it to someone when they're like that. Like,
Right.
you do have to do more therapies and trauma therapy or anything like that.
Right. And as I tell people all the time, you as a friend may want them to do it, but unless they're buy in and do whatever it takes to help themselves, there's nothing anyone can do. They need to want anything. And that takes a personal sacrifice. That means they've hit the proverbial bottom, that they're willing to do whatever it takes, and swallowing that pill that they were never willing to swallow, so to speak.
I know. I've been there personally, so I get it.
Well, see, yeah, there you go. You know this stuff probably better than I do. You've been there.
I know. I just he's like a very smart man, and then when he's on those substances, he's anti-government, anti-everything. So I was looking for an alternative way to present it to him.
Yeah. Well, I got one for you. What does he want to do? What are his goals in life? What does he want to be or accomplish?
He's a chef.
What's that?
A chef?
He's a chef, yeah.
The chef, okay. I'm assuming by, as most occupations, his using is interfering with that, correct?
Yeah, he just lost his job.
Yeah, exactly.
He actually just got out of sober living like a month ago and relapsed and is really in a bad way right now.
So I'll tell you what I would tell him. I said, you've got a choice. You can hop in and out of jobs until the point where you may be unhireable, or you stop this up and down that you're going through with not only your jobs but your substance abuse issues, and you can do something about it. But the ball's in your court. You have the power to either take the bull by the horns and do something about making a major change in your life, or not. I can't do it for you, and neither can anyone else.
Right. No, nobody can. It took me 20 years to do it. So
I wish I had the magic bullet, but it really comes down to, it's not just substance abuse. And when it comes to changing life, you either are willing to make the changes that you need to make, or you're not.
Yeah. All right.
Well, Daniel, thank you very much for calling in, and we really appreciate it.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
631-317-1291. If you have any questions, 631-317-1291. Anything else you want to touch base upon that with those with addictions? I mean,
yeah, I didn't mention this because wasn't really clear. He wasn't really clear in terms of what his family situation was, but one of the things they do to try to get people to sort of like take the next step is do a family intervention. Where if there's a therapist there and the family basically says, this is what you have to do if you want to remain connected with us. And if you're not willing to do that, then we're no longer going to have a connection with you. And basically what that says is either either do something for yourself or not, because we as a group can no longer deal with the havoc that you're presenting to us and with what you're doing to your life.
No. Well, thank you for sharing. What else do you want to talk about today? 631-317-1291. Feel free to ask any questions. He's here. Open mind, open heart.
Yeah, I was going to talk about, well, actually, this sort of like slides into the addiction issue. My father was in what turned out to be Army transport. He was born in Norway. When Norway was taken over by the Germans, my father decided to avoid the war by joining the American Merchant Marine Fleet. And then he became part of Army transport. And so I found that after he passed away, I had his ashes buried with his parents because my parents were divorced for 30 years prior to. So I brought his ashes over to Norway, and his youngest brother said, did you know? It's like, you're being set up when you hear that, right? Yeah. Did you know that your father was on a total of 19 ships during World War II, sailing back and forth in the North Atlantic? Of those 19, 11 of them eventually sank, 3 while he was on them. 2 of those ships were sunk by torpedoes, 1 by collision with another ship.
Wow.
And then reportedly, he also survived a plane crash in Manila Bay where he was one of 13 wearing seatbelts. All those who with the seatbelts survived, everybody else passed away. My first reaction when I heard about that is like, sure. But then I had to realize, like, he had shrapnel in his leg. And I had asked my mother, where did the shrapnel come from? And she said, I don't know. Now, here's the thing. When my mother was a nurse and a teacher, and when she was a nurse, she served in the Army as a nurse. And I think that's how they met. She had a friend of hers who had been married to him, and that's how they got introduced. So his ex-wife introduced my father to my mother, and then they got married. And I think my mother had the attitude that no matter what the problems were, she could help him deal with that.
Wow.
I understand that perfectly because I grew up as a rescuer myself. So there you go. And so, and that's the one thing about work when you're related to somebody who has a substance abuse problem, you quite often end up becoming the rescuer. So to say that growing up in that household was somewhat chaotic at times was putting it mildly.
Yeah.
And so I know up close and personal what it's like to grow up in that kind of a family setting. And I can remember my mother talking about the scene that my father made while they were having an argument outside and all that good stuff. And then when he passed away, I found out what the rest of the story was. He had nightmares for the rest of his life after the war, and how he coped was my father was a full-blown alcoholic, and it was really caused by the PTSD that he had suffered from World War II. And they never really dealt with it because it's shell shock back then. And I don't really feel like they really effectively dealt with it. I'm not really sure how you can deal with something like that as horrific as the experiences that he has suffered. And it's still going on now with the people that have been involved in war right up to the present day. Ukraine, of course, is the month. We're getting drawn into that. We're seeing horrific pictures on the TV with the dead bodies in the streets. We were, when I was a kid, we were basically sheltered from that to a certain extent. It's not, you can't shelter yourself from that anymore.
Nope.
So we're all being faced with the horrors of what that means for all of us. So, and by the way, I'm a strong believer that everybody grows up with some kind of trauma in their lives, either, especially when they were kids, maybe not necessarily as bad as that, but we tend to take it into our adult lives, and it tends to affect our relationships. Baggage is baggage, no matter how you define it. And some really messes up our relationships.
Wow. Yeah. Baggage. Oh, we all have it. So no one has a trauma-free, perfect life, right? We all could use someone like yourself.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's good to know we're all broken. It's true. You've had your own share. I know you shared a lot about yourself personally in the past, and I know I appreciate that, and hope our listeners can continue to open up to us as well. 631-317-1291. If you want to chime in on anything Thomas is saying, feel free. What do you feel like is happening? I like the fact that mental health awareness is become more popular in a sense. Back in the day, it was kind of looked down upon your field of going to someone to talk to someone about and now I feel like a lot of people are taking that time out there to discover themselves and to fix things about themselves. I think it's becoming more acceptable and not as everything on the hush hush about it.
Right. But we're still working on dealing with the cultural aspects of that. So
Mhm.
there's some cultural aspects where issues when it comes to hanging out the dirty laundry. My impression is you grew up in an Italian family, correct?
Yeah, I guess we were Italian, Polish, French, Irish, German, but the
Right.
last name Nicolini
Yeah,
sounds so
right,
Italian.
exactly.
Don't speak a word of
Um,
it, but
and I'm not going to make the mistake of saying all Italians because not all Italians are the same by any stretch of the imagination. But there is an aspect of some Italian families that taking their problems to a stranger, which quote unquote being a therapist,
Mhm.
is not something that is done. You don't want to air out your dirty laundry, and I think that is a big mistake because what you're doing is saying, I don't want to deal with my problems because it's nobody else's business but my own,
Yeah.
which I hear that, but we are pledged to maintain confidentiality with all of our clients. The only exceptions to the rule are third-party reimbursements and whether you give us permission to talk about whatever is in the session, and as well as being, if you're a danger to yourself or others. Other than that, everything else is pretty much kept confidential. And so, and I take that very, very seriously. And so, and I think I can honestly say most, if not all, clinicians do the same thing. So not going to a therapist because you don't want to air out, the only thing you're airing out as far as your dirty laundry is concerned, you're airing it out to a professional who's maintaining your confidentiality. And maybe you're allowing yourself to be open to finding out things that you never really realized you never knew. Why you do the things you do. Getting an outsider's point of view, because as I tell my clients, I'm the guy that's up above the woods. I could see things above the woods that you can't see while you're in the woods.
Sure.
And we're all in the same boat because I can get somebody to fly up there while I'm in the woods and they could see things that I couldn't see.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm sort of like I'm any more special than you. I'm just in a position where I can see, and I'm trained to help people be able to see things that they may not have seen, though they lived it.
Got it.
What we do, the things that as I tell people, if you want to know why you are the way you are, look at your role models. Yeah. We're all a vestige of the people that brought us up.
Wow. You're right. We are. So we're all broken, but we're all great. And I know we only have 3-4 minutes left here in the show.
Yeah.
In closing, how did you want to leave off with us today? Any particular way and any advice you want to share or leave?
I know one thing I'm thinking about right now is like life's a journey. And I think everybody's goal is probably like to try to make it the best you can make it. And if there's something that's preventing you from getting to where you want to be, maybe it's time to talk to somebody and say, I'm stuck.
Yeah.
Help me out. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm. It does. Got to open up, got to talk to someone.
Yeah. Hey, this has been fun today. I like it when people call in, even if it was one person.
I've only had one caller. Guys, where are you? Maybe it's spring break starting early. 631-317-1291. Seriously. We still have 3 minutes. Come on. Call.
Yeah.
Any plans for your vacation? This is Easter week technically. I'm not sure if
Easter
you're
week. Yeah, we're going to be at home. My son and his family are going to be coming back from Maryland. My younger daughter and her husband took their 2 girls to Florida, so they'll be coming back this weekend as well. And we're going to be having Easter dinner at our house.
I was going to say any Easter
Like
egg.
our
any
3
Easter
kids
egg
and the
hunts?
7 grandchildren.
Oh my gosh. So Easter egg hunting on tap?
Oh, I'm sure.
Good.
We haven't really talked about it, but absolutely. We have it every year. So why not this year?
Good. Well, hope you enjoy yourself. If someone wants to reach out, tell us how we can contact you.
Yep. I can reach that. My phone number is 203-917-7674. My email address is tabergvik@gmail.com. And you can find me on the bergvikcounselingservices.com. There's a lot of information out there, and I look forward to hearing from people.
Perfect. Thomas Bergvik, thank you for calling in to our caller. Thank you for listening to us today, and thank you for being here as always with open arms, sharing everything,
Yes.
and just let everyone know that you know what it is. By the way, Autism Awareness Month, mental health awareness, always important. So don't worry, guys. He's here to help you, and so are we in a sense. I mean, I'm not a counselor like him, but call us. Let us know what you want to talk about. We're here.
All right.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you can now listen live on the MyTuner Radio and online Radio Box apps for iOS, Android, and the Amazon App Store. Or check us out online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com or search Podcast Business News Network on onlineradiobox.com/US so you don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.